Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar covering how your business can get started with search engine optimization. This event is brought to you by the Irish SME Association in partnership with Google Digital Garage. Before we begin today's session, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to introduce myself and your moderator and explain this session objectives. So my name is Alison Gogarty. Just a bit about myself. I'm an experienced account manager and trainer, as well as having a background in digital marketing, and I've worked in the sector for about 7 years now. I would also like to introduce our moderator, Emma. Emma is a Google Digital Garage coach and will be interacting with you and answering some of your questions via the instant chat right there. You can identify Emma by her name as well as the little blue spanner next to her name. So a couple of quick fire housekeeping before we start. I just wanted to call out a few things that will help you today. So firstly, if you're having any trouble viewing, please try refreshing your page. And if you would like to join the instant chat today, you do need a YouTube account, which you can very easily set up by clicking on the box up on the right there. We'll be pausing throughout the session to answer the more complex questions from the chat box, so please do feel free to fire away with your questions throughout. Just to let you know, we are going to be running some more webinars in different subjects in collaboration with the Irish SME Association next year. So keep an eye out on the ISME events page linked in the description below. Lastly, if you have any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form linked down in the description box. A PDF link to the slides will appear for you to download once this is complete. So that's the housekeeping done. Let's jump in. So today we will help you to firstly understand how search engines work, understand what a search engine results page is, how the search algorithm works, and what format search results appear in. Secondly, how to get started with a search engine optimization, understand the benefits brought by SEO, how you can get started using this marketing channel, and top tips for success. And lastly, how to optimize your SEO strategy for success. So how you can gain an insight into on-page and off-page SEO techniques, which will help to optimize your SEO strategy and maximize your chances of success and return on investment. Now, before we begin the session, let's run a quick icebreaker activity. So in order for us to get used to the chat functionality, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to hear about your current marketing strategy. So how do you currently market goods or services to your customers? If you want to go ahead and put a comment in the chat box and let us know your answers, Emma will be able to respond within the chat. Great, so hopefully you are familiar now with how to use the chat functionality. So without further ado, let's get started with today's session. So firstly, let's get started by gaining an understanding of how search engines work. Before we deep dive into discussing the role of search engines, I'd like to hear what you think the primary purpose of a search engine is. So please drop your answers into the chat now for Emma to respond to. Great. So the mission of a search engine is to show the most relevant search result to the searcher. And over the next couple of slides, we're going to look at how search engines do this. So Google's mission is to make all information available and useful worldwide. The information presented by search engines is limitless. They are the tool used to help searchers navigate the internet. So in other words, Google wants to give you as a user the best user experience by providing you with the most relevant search results based on the search query you entered. The system has been developed to best serve the user and to answer the best search query as best as possible. So if you design your website aimed at the customer, you're already one step ahead. So now that we know the purpose of a search engine, let's look at the benefits they bring businesses specifically. Let's quickly discuss some of the benefits brought to businesses by marketing across and being present on search engines. So firstly, you can reach both a local and global audiences. So customers are searching for businesses locally and around the world. You can appear in both sets of search results. Local SEO is the process of appearing in local search results, and we'll discuss that in more detail later on. You can also increase your exposure online via search engines. Secondly, you can increase footfall and online revenue. You can increase your brand awareness, market your business to local customers using tools such as Google Maps and Google My Business. You can increase footfall to your physical store or traffic to your online shop, and you can drive sales online. And thirdly, you can connect and communicate with customers. Doing this, you can increase your online visibility, you can encourage customers to leave reviews and respond to these, and you can enable them to instant message your business and chat with them. And lastly, you can really learn about your customers. You can leverage insights to collect quantitative data and analyze this. You can understand key trends in analytics and gain qualitative insights via written reviews. So now that we know the purpose and benefits brought by search engines, let's discuss the ways they best pull results for users. So let's understand how search engines work. We know search can always be better. That's why Google engineers spend every day testing it, conducting hundreds of thousands of experiments every year, resulting in thousands of improvements to the search algorithm. Today, we'll take a look at how this works. But for more information, check out the How Search Works page, which Emma can share a link to in the chat. So what is a search engine algorithm? An algorithm is a mathematical formula in which countless factors are important. The operation of an algorithm is never shown exactly. Occasionally, guidelines are released. The algorithm is decisive for the ranking of the search results. At Google, our goal is to always provide you with the most useful and relevant information. Any changes we make to the search are always to improve the usefulness of the results you see. While we can't divulge specific signals of the algorithm because we don't want to give people a way to game the search results and worsen the experience for users, our advice is to focus on creating high quality sites that create a good user experience and employ white hat SEO methods instead of engaging in aggressive web spam tactics. So to give you an example of one of the algorithm updates we released, there was an update on the 23rd of February in 2011 called Panda. And Google released the Panda algorithm update in 2011, which hit a lot of sites hard. So Panda cracked down on the content farms, sites with high ad to content ratios, and a number of other quality issues. The goal of many of our ranking changes is to help searchers find sites that provide a great user experience and fulfill their information needs. We also want the good guys making great sites for users, not just making them to win over algorithms, to see their genuine effort rewarded. So to that end, we launched Panda changes that successfully returned higher quality sites in search results in 2011. But what does the algorithm look like in practice? So if we take a look at how they actually work, firstly, the spider crawls the internet. Secondly, it visits multiple sites. Thirdly, the spider crawls the website structure and visits all the pages. Next, the information it collects is saved in the search engine database. Then a user comes along and enters a search query, and the most relevant websites are then displayed on the search engine results page. And Emma can now share a link to how Google's search results page works in the chat box. So on that note, let's see how search engine results page, how it looks now. So this is what our search engine results page looks. You're probably all very familiar with it. It contains three things mainly. So the first thing you'll notice is the search query, what somebody has typed into Google. Then the results are shown as either ads or organic listings. Ads are paid listings that appear above organic listings. There can be up to 4 that appear here. So now that we know how the page is structured, let's take a look at the way the content can appear. So to help you find what you're looking for quickly, Google provides results in many useful formats. Whether presented as a map with directions, images, videos, or stories, we're constantly evolving with new ways to present information. Some of the key search engine results page formats include maps, web pages, PDFs, images, videos, and ads. Now I'm going to take a pause here to answer any questions that have come through before we move on to the next section. And I'm seeing some great comments on the purpose of the search engine. So Brian saying to get noticed, Erica to bring you higher in search rankings. That's all absolutely true. Thank you for your comments. So let's move on to how to optimize your search engine and how to get started with SEO. So search engine optimization, or SEO, is a tactic that enables organizations to ensure their websites are more easily found by search engine algorithms and therefore appear higher on the list of organic search results. It's also a way of driving traffic to your website and making it more visible to potential customers. So SEO means improving the visibility of a website within organic or natural results of a search engine. It also enables you to drive traffic without advertising, so your website will be presented in the results at no charge. And the search results from your website SEO practices are called organic results. So let's take a minute to discuss the benefits brought by SEO. So you might have a number of reasons for wanting to implement SEO practices, including to ensure your website is placed in higher in the organic search results. So this increases your visibility to users both globally and locally. Next, you might want to increase traffic to your website and therefore increase the volume of potential sales. So you can ensure visitors engage with your e-commerce ecosystem and manage them then through the conversion funnel. You also might want to convert visitors into paying customers. You can drive traffic and increase the number of paying customers through SEO. Another reason would be to implement cost-effective marketing practices. So you can get started with SEO fairly easily and at a low cost. You do not have to have a large advertising budget. And lastly, you might want to help strengthen your brand, build awareness, and increase visibility. If your business appears on the search results page, you're going to get a lot more exposure and views. So what are the golden rules of SEO? An important lesson to keep in mind with SEO is that a web page is viewed through 2 lenses, that of the customer and that of the website spider or bot. And as we discussed, Google's goal is to show you the most relevant search results for the query. However, customers and spiders search for and understand websites differently. You need to create your website with both the customer and the spider in mind. So the spider or bot understands the site based on a number of technical elements, such as tags that appear in the source code of your website. So for this, you use technical language. For the potential customer, the language must be appealing, clear, and helpful. Both approaches are important if you want to ensure that your website can be found easily in a search engine. So next, let's look at how we can get started with SEO. So there are a couple of points here of how to get started. So firstly, you can sign up to Google Search Console. So the Google Search Console is a free tool that will allow you to more accurately see how you rank on Google search. And there's a couple of steps to get started on that. So firstly, you submit your content to Google, you monitor how you're doing in search, and they send alerts on critical issues. So Google Search Content Console will help you identify if there are any issues or errors in your website that will make it hard for Google to rank you highly. So it's really, really helpful, and I recommend that as a first step. Next, it's important to help Google find your content. So you should really consider submitting a sitemap. This will help the Google bots understand the structure of your site. So when it comes to being indexed, Google better understands how your site links together. So you can submit a sitemap, you can promote your site on and offline, and you can share new content. And then lastly, it's important to optimize your content. So next, looking into creating valuable content that your users really want. And Google really values useful and fresh content that helps its users find what they're looking for. So firstly, you should create unique, accurate page titles. Secondly, create logical titles and snippets. And thirdly, use heading tags to emphasize important text. So next up, we'll look at how to improve your website's visibility to people who are searching for product or services just like yours. So there's no shortcut for SEO, which helps you improve your website's visibility to people who are searching for products or services like yours. So a couple of top tips would be, firstly, conduct keyword research. Discover and understand what words or phrases people are looking for when they're searching for products and services related to your business. The title and metadata description are important because they are both used by the search engine to generate the actual search results for the specific page. And the title is used to generate the first line shown, the meta description, is used to generate then a few short sentences that follow it. So next, make sure you're publishing high quality, useful content, and understand your customers and optimize your content to suit their needs. And then thirdly, make web pages search friendly. So on-page optimization or changes you can make to your website's individual pages can quickly help search engines better understand your content. And one thing to note is, don't try to speed up the process by trying techniques like stuffing your websites with keywords. It's best to keep it as high quality and useful as possible. But if you want to take a look at next, what is a keyword? Let's understand what this is in more detail. So keywords are words or phrases that are used to match your advert with the terms that people are searching for. So for your ad to appear in the search engine results page, you need a keyword to match some part of a user search query in Google. So for example, if someone searches for a local restaurant, what words would they use to search? They'd likely search for terms such as restaurant, near me, local restaurant, takeaway, etc. These words enable the search engine to determine what the user wants to see and which results will be most relevant to them. These search terms are keywords, and without them, your site or business won't appear in these searches. So how can we choose our keywords? So choosing keywords requires you to follow 3 steps. So firstly, get into your customer's head and identify their needs. So think about what your audience actually needs, the terms that they would use to make their searches. List the keywords and phrases, and identify their path to purchase and overall consumer journey. Secondly, use research tools such as Keyword Planner. So Keyword Planner enables you to identify keywords you may want to use. It can also identify popular search terms. You can discover new keywords, find out what works and what doesn't, and it's a free tool to use. Thirdly, create combinations of search phrases. So once you've conducted your research, it's time to put the phrases together. Create combinations of keywords, and there are many combinations available. On that note, let's test this out. So let's see how many keywords we can identify for an example business. So I'd like you all to comment in the chat with some relevant keywords for the following business case. So if we take a boutique independent clothes store in Dublin, Please go ahead and provide some examples of keywords that you might use in your SEO strategy for a boutique independent clothes store in Dublin. Great, so let's take a look at some of the keywords that our team chose. So some of the combinations that they came up with were keywords related to the business, the location, and then a combination of those two. So related to the business, you could say fashion, clothes, designer, boutique. Related to the location, it could be Dublin, Ireland, Dublin 1. And a combination of keywords might be clothes Dublin 1, clothes Dublin, fashion Ireland, etc. So I've seen a couple of answers come through. So Erica saying clothes, unique, yes. Brian saying value. IFP Media saying boutique, store Dublin, yes, all great keywords. And Byrne saying ladies tops, yes. A brilliant combination of keywords there. Thank you for giving those answers. So next up, we'll look at SEO. It's not all about keywords. So it isn't the only way of improving your search rankings with SEO. There are some other factors. So first up, cultivating user trust is really important. So users will feel comfortable visiting your site if they think it's trustworthy. A site with a good reputation is trustworthy. You can do this by creating a reputation for trustworthiness or knowledge in a certain area. So provide information about who publishes your site, provides the content and its goals. For example, shopping and other financial transaction websites should have clear and satisfying customer service information to help users resolve any issues. News sites should provide clear information about who is responsible for the content. And using appropriate technologies is also important. So for example, if a shopping checkout page doesn't have a secure connection, users are not likely to trust the site. And then next, showcase your expertise. So expertise of a site increases its quality. So ensure that your site is created or edited by people with expertise in the topic. Make sure you use reputable sources and cite your data and sources appropriately. Creating high quality content takes at least one or more of the following: time, effort, expertise, talent, and skill. Make sure your content is factually accurate, clearly written, comprehensive. For example, if you're writing a recipe, make sure it helps people to make the dish, provides step-by-step guide in clear English, and is not just simply a list of ingredients. And then lastly, avoid distracting users with too many adverts. So Google expects there to be adverts on a site, but make sure they're not distracting. Also, make sure they don't stop a user from navigating your site or understanding the information. So we focus predominantly on global search engine results page rankings. However, you may also want to consider local SEO. As we discussed earlier, SEO can provide both results both globally and locally. So local SEO enables businesses to ensure that they appear in local search results and thus connect with a local audience. It's your way of appearing in results where searches have used the phrase such as nearby, near me, etc. This is a way of driving footfall and revenue for SMEs and small businesses. So how can you improve your visibility in local search results? Well, there are 4 ways to localize your website and content in order to appear in local search results. So firstly, create a Google My Business listing. This is of no charge. It provides information on search such as contact details, phone number, location, website, reviews, and more. GMB is easy to set up and enables you to appear in Google Maps and local searches. So to set up your GMB listing, just visit business.google.com or download the GMB app. Add as much detail as possible and make sure that you verify your listing. Then secondly, update your content, your contact details and address. So Google uses information about your country and location in order to ascertain information that is useful to you in that context and deliver the content that is relevant to those in your area. So to ensure your site appears when customers are searching for product and services locally, pay attention to your name, address, phone number, and website URL, and make sure that they appear across your site. If your business has many locations, create a separate page for each. You may also want to get involved in local activities, such as community fairs, and ensure those keywords appear on your site. Next, list your business within local directories. So make sure your business is included in local business directories and that your name, address, phone number, and website is clearly visible. List your business on citation sites too, such as Yelp, Thomson Local, Yelp, TripAdvisor, and Scoot. These will help boost your visibility on searches and boost your rankings. Appearing on such sites improves your trustworthiness, usefulness, which is also a consideration when Google ranks search results. And then lastly, pay attention to intent in local searches when planning keywords. So search intent focuses on understanding the types of keywords and phrases customers use when searching for businesses like yours. We're effectively trying to get into the minds of our customers. So Google calls the point that a customer turns to in their phone to search for a product a micro moment. And there are 4 key micro moments. So I want to go, I want to know, I want to do, and I want to buy. These moments are the key times when purchasing decisions can be won or lost. Think about it this way. What would lead you to find out more about a business and then make a purchasing decision? For example, if you want to buy a cake for your son's birthday, but he's gluten intolerant, you'd search for cake shops, and especially those selling gluten-free cakes. If you can't find this, you're likely to look into the business and research and make a purchase from a gluten-free cake shop. But if the results don't match your needs, you're likely to disengage. By paying attention to local search intent using trends, analytics, tools such as Keyword Planner, you'll be able to identify the searches that people look for locally and the words that they use to find the specific information. So we only sell ads, not search results. So while advertisers can pay to be displayed in clearly marked sections of the page, no one can buy better placement in the search results. Let's take a look at the differences between SEO and SEM. SEO in itself is available at no charge, which of course is the main benefit of it. You pay nothing to search engines like Google. You rank based on relevancy to the search query. SEM is where you pay, but only when someone clicks on your ad. If your ad serves 10 times but has only been clicked on once, you only pay once. We optimize by sending relevancy signals to the likes of Google based on your web pages, incoming links, and other factors like reviews. With SEM, we can choose the keyword and bid, so it's much easier to be visible for important keywords than it is on SEO. With SEO, it can take a lot of time, depending on the nature of the competition and the type of search query you're trying to rank for. For example, ranking on the first page for translation might take months. However, ranking for professional English translation might only take a few weeks, as it's more specific and there will be lesser competition overall. So let's pause now for some quick questions. Great. So I can see a question from Kimmy M. What would you recommend to prioritize when first starting off with SEO? I know it all takes time to build. So that's a great question. I think going back to the free tools that we have. So firstly, definitely sign up with Google Search Console. That's a free tool, and Emma can link it in the chat box. But it will be great to see firstly where you rank, and then also submit a sitemap if you can to Google, as this will really help to understand the site structure. In terms of getting down to it, I definitely recommend prioritizing the page titles first. So make your website really clear and easy for Google to understand. So with page titles, logical titles, and subtitles, that would be my recommendation of where to start. Great, well, thank you for the question. And we'll move on next to the section on optimizing your SEO strategy. So there are two kinds of ways to work on your SEO, on page and off page. To make the most out of this webinar, we will only go into detail about the pillars that you're likely to have the most influence on. So on-page SEO is about ensuring that the code of your web pages are optimized for search engines. And then off-page SEO refers to all the activities that you and others do away from your website to raise the ranking of a page within the search engines. So link building is very important for off-page SEO, and the best links come from reputable and trustworthy websites. Links to all your sites are called backlinks. A good review is ideal. But social media and the possibility of linking from sites like Reddit are also valuable. It's always about quality above quantity. The more good links to your website, the higher the website may appear in the search results. If there are relatively many bad links to the website, this may result in a lower position. And of course, you do not want that. So on-page SEO, you manage yourself, much like the fact you manage a store yourself. Off-page SEO are factors that you yourself cannot control, such as the popularity of other links and PageRank. We're going to look at the key pillars that can work on to help improve your website search ranking. So first, let's focus on page SEO and in particular content. Good quality content is really important. Think about what a customer might want to read about. Make it interesting and original. Remember again the golden rule of SEO. Content is for the spider and for the customer. So firstly, looking at quality. Create specific, relevant, unique, and original content for your users. Create easy to read text and create a plan for publishing content. Next up, keywords. Think about the keywords that your customer might look up. Make sure your content gives them information that they are looking for, and use relevant keywords and terms in your content. Next, relevancy. Keep the content up to date. Don't copy the text from another website or reuse it in your own site. Don't copy and paste. Do not reuse content from other people. Use your own content. Make the site, maybe the site can include a blog, but make sure you keep updating it if you do include one. So qualitative and relevant content is the most important, and also keeping your content up to date. And then lastly, mixed media. So it's not just all about text. Use different forms of content, including images, videos, etc. Now let's look at keywords again. So there's three things you want to consider when it comes to keywords. So firstly, the keywords you select must closely match what you actually offer. If somebody visits your site and is looking for strawberries, you can only sell raspberries, then they will leave your site straight away. So make sure that the keywords are very relevant. Secondly, the volume and frequency, the number of times the word is searched for. You want to use terms that people search for most often in relation to your products. Keep in mind, however, that can be very difficult to distinguish your company with widely used terms. And then competition. If you have a large, well-known website, it may be possible for you to be top of the search engine results page with frequently used, highly competitive keywords such as fruit and vegetable. But there are only a small number of keywords that have a very high search volume, and a large number of keywords have a low search volume. That is called the long tail. So for small companies, the long tail is often where you have SEO opportunities. It usually takes a website a lot of time and focused effort to be shown within the searches for popular generic keywords. However, smaller websites get easier rankings with long tail keywords. For example, strawberries is a generic keyword with a high volume search volume and a lot of competition. However, organic strawberries delivered to Amsterdam is an example of a long tail that a small company can produce more direct results from. So next up, we're going to look at HTML. So page titles and meta descriptions are two separate pieces of HTML code that should be found on every page of the internet. So like a book, they tell you the title of the page and the summary of that page. These are then used by search engines like Google to create an easy to read link to a website from their index. The title and meta tags can be found in the HTML code in the head section. The H1 tag is part of the page layout and is in the body part of the code. Show the head and body parts and the title and description along with the H1 tag in the code. Here again, remember the golden rule of SEO, that this is the language of the robot. Content is the language of the visitor. So let's look where the title and meta description sit in reality. So here you can see page titles are a singular line of text that you see in the search engine results. When bookmarking a page and a tab in your browser bar, they can be likened to book titles. They are normally a short description of the linked page. And then meta descriptions are short descriptions of a page, similar to the blurb or back of a book. They summarize the content you will find when you click on the link of a page in the search results engine. So like page titles, these are often written using short HTML code, which you'll find in the source code of most websites. So how can we access HTML for text structure? So for example, you can let the spider crawler know by using title tags in the slide, which content on your website is a priority and therefore weighs more heavily. So we need structures and hierarchy on pages because users looking at a web page tend to scan quickly to find relevant content. Search engines indexing your page consider the contents of headings as important keywords for influencing the page search rankings. And lastly, access is important. So severely visually impaired people often don't read web pages. They listen to them instead. This is done with software called a screen reader. They provide an outline of the document by reading out the headings, allowing the users to find information they need quickly. And if headings are not available, they will be forced to listen to the whole document or read out loud. Therefore, we need to give our content structural markup. So how can we do this? So there are 6 heading elements, H1 to H6, and each element represents a different level of content in the document. So H1 represents the main heading, H2 represents subheadings, and H3 represents sub-subheadings, and so on. So next up, if we look at HTML for photos and images. So photos are important for the customer user experience, but crawlers can find photos more difficult to categorize. And it's recommended to use text instead of photos to inform, as it's easier for the crawlers to identify. Use descriptive names for photos that have a substantive message, reinforce the content, or have a direct connection with it. So photos that have nothing to do with the content but are purely aesthetic are not used at all. The keywords will not match the message. So please note that an alt tag describes the image for the crawler so that it can form an image of what is in the image. And for slow browsers, slow loading time, sometimes the alt tag may appear instead of the image. Next up, let's take a look at accessibility. So firstly, we did discuss how search engine works, and let's recap on that. So the spider enters the website, it crawls your content, information is stored and indexed in a database, user searches online, and then websites appear in the results. So how exactly do we ensure that the spider finds what it needs when it crawls? So we have focused mainly on content because accessibility is fairly technical and therefore is mainly relevant for web developers. However, there are a few things you can try yourself. The main one is submitting a sitemap. Firstly, there are actually two types of sitemaps. So firstly, a HTML sitemap is meant for people, but websites that have this often score better on search engines. And then secondly, an XML sitemap is meant for search engines and indicates the structure and links between pages, or the site structure, and how important a page is and how often it is updated. Both the sitemap in HTML and the sitemap in XML is placed on the site. So the sitemap XML is just a hyperlink. So for example, www.example.com/sitemap XJDF91. That can be given to that can be given to search engines, example in the Google Search Console. However, HTML sitemaps are visible on site, with the link usually being used in the footer. And it's important to note that each search engine uses the same protocol to read sitemaps. So an XML sitemap is therefore sufficient to be indexed by all search engines. So next up, let's take a look at the tools that you may want to consider. There are some really useful tools that can help you analyze and improve your website performance and search engine ranking. So firstly, measure your site speed. Google Page Speed Insights is available. It's a tool that Emma can link in the chat box. But page speed, it's a mouthful. Page Speed Insights analyzes the content of a web page, and this generates suggestions to make the page faster. And Mobile Test My Site is a great place to start to improve your site. It's a tactical tool for you to instantly see how quick your website loads on a mobile device. You can use it to compare your mobile site speed to industry peers and to get specific tips to improve and speed it up. We recommend using it to test your most prominent web pages that you drive traffic towards. We know mobile site speed is really important because new research by Google has found that 53% of mobile website visitors will leave if a page doesn't load within 3 seconds. The average load time for sites is 19 seconds on a 3G connection and 14 seconds on a 4G connection. The report, The Need for Mobile Speed, found that mobile sites that loaded within 5 seconds performed much better than those who took 19 seconds to load. Sites that loaded within 5 seconds boast 25% higher ad viewability, 70% longer average sessions, and a 35% lower bounce rate. So making sure that your site speed is as quick and the load times as quick as possible is super important. Next, identifying keywords. Keyword Planner is a Google Ads tool that we've referenced, available at no charge for newer experienced advertisers. With Keyword Planner, you can identify new keywords that are relevant to your product, service, and target customers. It will also show you historical statistics, such as search volume data for these keywords, so you can decide on whether to use them. You simply set up a Google Ads account and sign in as expert mode to access the tool, not in smart mode. And then next, analyzing consumer search trends. So Google Trends is a tool available at no charge that analyzes the popularity of top search queries in Google search across various regions and languages. The website uses graphs to compare the search volume of different queries over time. In this dynamic environment, people needs are changing constantly. So Google Trends can help you keep up with shifting behaviors by providing access to actual search requests, such as Google search, YouTube, shopping, and images. By entering a keyword or topic, you can explore what the world is searching for in near real time. It shows trends in the use of keywords over a certain period of time, and Google Trends also lets you compare multiple keywords. And then lastly, track your site's SEO performance. There are lots of tools to help you measure your website's performance. So for example, Google Search Console, you can register and analyze your website there. You can also receive tips regarding how to optimize for Google. It's also available at no charge, and it can more accurately tell you how you rank on Google search and if there are any issues or errors in your website that will make it hard for Google to rank you highly. Now, let's turn your attention to off-page SEO techniques. So let's take a look at the do's and don'ts of link building. So some things to consider. For the do's, linking to relevant websites with authority, creating interesting content. If you create interesting content, for example, in the form of a blog, people are more likely to share this content. The way you build in qualitative links, that way you can build in qualitative links. You can also invite people to rate your products. And if you invite people to rate your product on an external review site, such as Google My Business, Facebook, Trustpilot, etc., this will contribute to your link building. And then a couple of don'ts on link building. So don't pay for links in online directories. Search engines are not a fan of paid links. These can have a negative influence on your findability. Keep that in mind. Don't spam on forums. Only contribute to a forum when you have something valuable to report, not because you want to promote your product, service, or brand. Don't use link exchange programs. Search engines are not a fan of paid links. They can have a negative influence on your findability, so just continue to keep that in mind. And then last but not least, let's look at social media. So social networks are a good source of reviews, links, and a way to tell people about your website. It already starts with the creation of social media profiles. Whether you create a profile for your company or a website on a social media platform, you always have to place a URL or the address of your website. So this in itself already provides a backlink. And not just a backlink, no, a backlink that is a reliable source and that you yourself have full control over. So finally, you can use links in posts on social media. So besides a link in the general social media profile, you can regularly link in posts that you post. In fact, the amount of likes on Facebook or retweets on Twitter, etc., that you get for your posts that contain an address or a URL of your website is a very important indicator to search engines to determine how high you appear in the search results. So let's have a final Q&A before we wrap the session, as that completes this section. So I'll pause for any questions if you have any before we finish the session today. Great, so I'm going to move on to the next steps and I'll check back for questions in a minute. But I'd love to hear also some takeaways from today's session. So what are your next steps? So it would be great if you could put in the chat box any comments on what are the steps that you're going to take after today's session, whether it's just to get started on SEO or improve your current strategy. I'd love to hear. Great, so I can see next steps from Brian Matthews, try using better keywords. Brilliant. Thank you, Brian. From Erica Murray, rebuilding websites in the new year. So your tips are welcome. Thank you. That's great to hear. Thank you, Emma. Fergal Scott, 73. I've signed up for more of these. Brilliant. Thank you, Fergal. Alice, review tools to see how they can improve the site. Great. I'm glad that you're using the tools, Alice. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing those next steps. So let's wrap up today's session. So thank you so much for all your questions. We're going to wrap up here. I hope that's been a really useful deep dive into SEO today. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, if you are interested in more training from Google Digital Garage, there are a few ways you can continue learning. So we are going to be running more digital Google Garage webinars in different subjects in collaboration with the Irish SME Association. So keep an eye on the ISME events page linked in the description box below. Also, if you would like to carry on learning in your own time, check out the Google Digital Garage website for more online training courses, which are available to you 24/7. Finally, if you have any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form linked in the description box below. And a PDF of the slides will appear once this is complete. So thank you everybody for joining today, and we look forward to welcoming you to another webinar soon. Thanks so much.